Today I'm going to show you how to use replica Tudor Marchpane stampers. Decorative Marchpane was essential at any good Tudor banquet, and it is still impressive to guests today. I'm using modern marzipan to demonstrate simply because I was making and decorating a simnel cake that requires marzipan. I will explain the difference between marchpane and marzipan later in the video. I will start by showing you how to use the stampers to create decorative elements for your cake. You take a ball of marzipan or marchpane and roll it into a smooth ball. Marzipan is much softer in consistency than marchpane, which, once baked, is more like a biscuit, and I have seen it referred to as a wafer. I use a light dusting of icing sugar to help stop the marzipan from sticking to the stamp. Only a light dusting because you don't want to dry out your marzipan too much, which could cause cracking, and I'll give you some tips about cracking later on. I then gently press the marzipan into a thick biscuit. You can see a little cracking starting here, but as I said, I'll give you some tips. When you press the stamp into the marzipan or marchpane, I use a slight rolling motion to ensure that the image on the stamp is fully pressed into the areas of the stamp to get the best impression. You can gently peel away the marzipan, trying to avoid ripping it. Now, if you want to, you can trim any rough edges around the flower. I'm going to show you some of the other designs that we have. Following on about avoiding cracking, I recently read that if you see cracking on your marchpane or marzipan, you can dip your finger into a small amount of water and smooth those cracks away. Here I am showing you an acorn, and once I've gently peeled it away, you should be able to see the acorn motif. There we are. Another tip for smoothing the edges is that you can run the flat edge of a butter knife along the edges of your marzipan to smooth it. So you're not cutting it, you are burnishing it essentially. This one that I'm working on now is a cross. These decorative pieces of marzipan were designed to wow your guests at your Tudor banquets, and some of the bigger marchpane stampers depicted whole woodland scenes and all manner of things. Each of our replica stamps is based on a motif from Tudor artworks. I looked at church carvings, tapestries and paintings, which are then carved into a stamp that is then used to make each of the stampers. And of course, an image that I saw repeatedly was the Tudor rose. So I have done this Tudor rose. I believe it was also common to do portraits of royals and important people to have on your marchpane, and presumably to impress any important people who were coming to one of your banquets. However, I'm going to be sticking to the humble strawberry, and here we have a trio of little strawberries. And here is the entire collection for you. We have all of these online where you can buy them individually or as sets. And what I will do is I will pop a link in the description so that you can get yourself a set. Now, if a complete portrait of yourself staring back at you from a cake was not enough, it was also tradition to use gold leaf to decorate your marchpane pieces. I don't have gold leaf, but I do have edible glitter that I will use to decorate this flower. It is readily available in big supermarkets in the baking sections, and it's considerably cheaper than using gold leaf. In this case, you start by brushing a thin layer of water over the surface that you want to become gold or glittery. If it is marchpane that you are decorating, you can use rose water, as unlike marzipan, which is flavoured with grated orange zest, marchpane is traditionally flavoured with rose water. The water makes the surface sticky and ready to take the glitter. It will also add flavour if you're using rose water, And I expect you could also use orange juice if you wanted to up the orange flavour of your marzipan. Once you have applied the water, you use a different dry brush to gently pat the glitter into place to add that shiny surface. I know that I've adapted my method for a more modern setting. This is because I am not a historic cooking specialist. That is a discipline all of its own, and so I leave that to the experts. Here I want to show you the practical elements of how to use these items. For more accurate historical recipes, I suggest you search Pario Gallico, Sally Granger, and Tavola Mediterranea. Between them, they cover a wide range of eras and will get you cooking like an ancient. And you should definitely follow them on social media. And here we have the shiny, lovely, finished object ready to decorate your cake. You sieve 130 grams of icing sugar. Sieving out is important because it removes the lumps and makes the kneading process much easier later on, because you will not have to eliminate those lumps later on. You're doing it now. You'll also need extra icing sugar for dusting. This will be used if you're going to roll out a disc of a marzipan for the top of your cake, or if you are doing decorative elements like the stampers. Next, we have 95 grams of caster sugar. This is also sieved. Again, I just want to eliminate any lumps. Next, we have 230 grams of finely ground almonds. At this stage, I like to start to combine these three dry ingredients before we add the wet ingredients. It just helps later on again with the kneading, because you're already starting that combining process. Finely grated orange zest goes in next. I like to use the zest of one large orange because I like that zesty kick. Finally, we have one large egg beaten. If this isn't enough to make your dough smooth and soft, you can add very small amounts of water or orange juice to get the consistency right. You can also add more almonds if you need to dry the mixture out, but always add these things in small amounts until you reach the desired consistency. I begin with combining the ingredients with a fork just to get the mixture started. Once it begins to form lumps, you can get your hands in and start to knead it inside the bowl. It does take a while for the ingredients to form a dough, so be patient and don't add any extras until you are sure that the mixture is too dry or too wet, because then you can end up adding too much of one thing and having to add something else, and it becomes a bit of a problem. Keep mixing with your hands until the mixture begins to form one ball of dough. You can then use this ball to collect together any mixture that is not combined. At this stage, you can bring your marzipan out of the bowl and begin to knead it. Knead it until it becomes evenly mixed. This should take around 10 minutes. You then want to wrap your marzipan and leave it to rest for 3 hours in the fridge. If you try to use it straight away, it will be very sticky and hard to handle. And as a person who is very impatient, I've tried this and it never works out well. So just please leave it to rest and come back to it. We would love to know how you got on. So find us, Potted History, on social media and let us know. You can also visit the online shop to get your own set of stampers. There's a link in the description. And happy baking, everyone!